Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into a technique that's going to completely change how you get results from your AI. Seriously, it's the secret sauce for going from those, generic responses to getting perfectly tailored outputs every single time. All right, let's start with a problem that I know we've all run into. You've got a specific task, right? You give the AI an instruction, you think it's clear, and what you get back is, well, it's just not it. It's unhelpful, maybe it's completely off base, or it just sounds nothing like you. So what you're seeing here is a perfect example of what's called a zero-shot prompt. It's basically when you give a single instruction with, well, zero examples. And the results? It's usually a bit of a mess, right? I mean, yeah, technically it did what you asked, but the output is so stiff, so robotic. It's missing all that nuance you actually wanted. And here's the big aha moment. The AI isn't really failing here. The problem is us. We just haven't given it enough context. A simple instruction is super ambiguous to a machine. It doesn't teach the model your specific style, or the tone you're going for, or the exact format you need. But what if you could train the AI on the fly? Like, what if you could just show it what you want instead of trying to describe it with a bunch of words? Well, that's exactly where the real magic starts. And that brings us right to the heart of what we're talking about today, few-shot learning. It's this incredibly powerful technique where instead of just telling the AI what to do, you give it a few top-notch examples of the task done right before you give it your new problem. It's a total game changer. The best way to think about it is like training a new employee. You wouldn't just walk up to them and say, hey, write good emails. Of course not. You'd show them a few examples of really great emails the team has sent before. That way, they learn the pattern, the tone, the format. They get it just by seeing it. So let's break down how a few-shot prompt actually works. Instead of just asking for something new, we first show the AI a couple of examples of the transformation we want. We're literally teaching it a pattern. We're showing it, hey, if the input looks like this, the output should look like that. And if the input is this other thing, then the output needs to be this. We're laying down the rules of the game. And because the AI has seen those examples, it starts to understand the underlying rule. It figures out the logic. So when we finally give it our new unseen input, it knows exactly what to do. It's not just guessing anymore. It's following the precise logic that we just demonstrated. Okay, so this is obviously super effective, but it brings up a really important question, right? How many examples do you actually need to get these kinds of results? Well, the answer, based on a ton of research, is actually surprisingly small. For most things you're going to do, the sweet spot is somewhere between 2 and 5 examples. That's it. You don't need some huge, massive data set. Just a few really good demonstrations will do the trick. And this chart here just lays it all out perfectly. You see, giving just one example, that's called a one-shot prompt, can be kind of risky, because the model might get fixated on the tiny details of that single example. But then you get into that 2 to 5 range, and effectiveness shoots up. And then look what happens. Once you get past, say, 5 to 8 examples, you start hitting diminishing returns. You're just wasting your time and your tokens without really getting much better results. This whole idea really blew up thanks to the groundbreaking GPT-3 paper back in 2020. What the researchers showed was that these huge models have this incredible, almost magical ability to learn a brand new task right there in the prompt. All it takes is a handful of examples. No need for any complex, expensive model retraining. It just works. And here's the best part. You absolutely do not need to be a data scientist to pull this off. You can start getting way better results, like right now, using a super simple 3-step method that you can use over and over again. Okay, step 1, select your examples. Pick a few, make sure they're high quality, and try to get a little variety in there, not just the exact same thing on repeat. Step 2, structure them clearly. Be super consistent with your labels, like always using input and output. And finally, step 3, just add a simple instruction at the end, telling the AI to follow the format you just showed it. That's it. All right, so you've got the basics down. Now let's level up. We're going to go over a few pro tips that will take your few-shot prompts from just being good to being absolutely perfect. So here are 3 pro tips you got to know. First, the AI pays the most attention to the very first example it sees. So always, always put your best, most important example right at the top. Second, if you need rock-solid consistency, like for formatting data or code, set the AI's temperature setting to 0. This basically turns down the creativity and makes the output way more predictable. And third, make sure your examples are diverse. You want to show different scenarios so the AI learns the rule, not just how to copy one specific pattern. Now, this right here, this is probably the biggest mistake I see people make. They're inconsistent with their formatting. They'll use different capitalization or different labels in their examples, and that just completely confuses the model. The results get all wacky and unpredictable. The fix, though, is so simple. Just be meticulous. Use the exact same labels, the same spacing every single time. Okay, wow, we have covered a ton of ground here. So let's boil it all down. What are the key things you absolutely need to walk away with? Look, if you remember only one thing from this, let it be this. Stop just telling the AI what to do and start showing it. Aim for 2 to 5 really high quality, diverse, and super consistently formatted examples. And never forget, the quality of the examples you put in is directly tied to the quality of the results you get out. And at the end of the day, this is about so much more than just writing better emails. This technique gives you the power to teach an AI to replicate pretty much any pattern or style you can think of instantly. So that leaves us with one final thought. Now that you have this new superpower in your toolkit, what's the very first thing you're going to teach your AI?